dinged, if you will. So, all right, I'll mute there for a second. Do you know who the backup singer in this song was? Oh, my gosh.
I'm really bad at this game.
Yeah. Well, I'll wait till it gets to the hook. I'll wait till it gets to the hook because we're already in the pre-show here on the Rants of Izzo on Spreely Media. And due to some other shit platforms, we can't play that tune on there, but let me give it a hint. We'll do trivia today here. All right, here we go. Ready? Oh, he's not going to play it. Anyways, it's Mick Jagger. I'll do that later on.
Okay.
All right. Pre-show Rants of Izzo here on Spreely Media. We're on all these different platforms. And if you're listening to all these different platforms, you're watching it, welcome. You're only going to get a few minutes of the show. And then we are exclusively on Spreely.com, which you got to pay attention to. I have to set this up. Well, plug it. What have you been doing lately? Plug what you've been doing.
Well, I'm back. Hi, missed y'all because I was super busy, booked up with guests, a bunch of different guests coming in and out of town for the VIP suite for the BNP Paribas, which is like a huge Wimbledon type tennis tournament here. So I've been super busy with that. Other than that, I'm just trying to get back to real life before my sister has her first baby.
Oh, are you going to be aunt for the first time?
I'm going to be auntie, yeah.
That's fantastic. Did she pick a name yet?
Very excited. She did. Elena.
How many siblings do you have?
Only the one, the baby sister.
Yeah.
She's my baby sister. Yeah.
Wow. It's fantastic.
I know. I'm really happy for them. Really excited for her.
Kids, welcome to the Rants of Izzo pre-show here on Spreely Media. If you are consuming us on different platforms, just enjoy it. You're only going to get a few minutes, and then if you want to watch the show in totality, got to go to Spreely.com. When you're on Spreely.com, you could take a look at the, what do we call it? All the shows. Like you get the podcast, other shows out there like Report and Opine or the Burn Pit podcast, Shannon Joy show. There's a ton of them on there. There's also a free speech social media platform where literally you could say whatever you want. It's very important. You want to support the show? Go buy my book, Before the Badge. Everything you need to know before you become a cop. It's available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wordsmatterpublishing.com. I'm going to have a link up on the website soon. I have to do that. Before the Badge, everything you need to know before you become a cop, written by me. We're live in...
or marry one.
What's that?
Or marry one.
Oh, dude, yeah. How many years has he got on?
It'll be 9 very soon.
Yeah, is he at the point where he goes, I have no idea why I do this job?
After being off for a bit because he was injured on duty, a little bit in certain ways.
What was I going to say? Somebody sent me an email when I was like a year on, and it gave the breakdown of year 1 to year 3, year 3 to year 5, and I was like, and looking back, it was so accurate. Like by year 3 and 5, you're going, what's the point, dude? What am I doing? All right, we're live, Rants of Izzo show here on Spreely Media. Hope everybody's having a great damn day. Let's do a show. Might as well do
that. Sit down, shut up, and pay attention.
Damn!
This is the Rants of Izzo show with your host, Dominick Izzo, from porn to politics. We touch every third rail we can find. You might want to put your headphones on so your mom can't hear this. It's been called the most entertaining 60 minutes on the internet, and it starts now. Let's do this.
Happy Friday, kids. This is the Rants of Izzo here on Spreely TV. All things spoken freely. Friday, it is snowing out here in Chicago. I knew we were going to get hit late with that, what the hell you call it, that spring show or spring snow, all that crap. It's good to see you again.
You too.
Kayla from Flex Your Feminine. You were gone for a couple of weeks, and it's glad to have you back. I'm going to jump into this because I want to get your thoughts. Do you know who Andy Elliott is on, do you know who he is?
I may recognize his face. I'm not great with names. I'm terrible at names.
I'm going to do this. We're going to pull up. Let's look at some stuff today because I want your evaluation on some stuff. Can you see this guy here? This dude. Can you see him?
Yes.
Okay. He's what they would call high ticket.
I recognize him.
Yeah, high ticket sales training. Like Dan Loke, who's I don't really see his stuff anymore. I'm gonna play. Let's see if the video is.
Go look at your paycheck. It's not at least $100,000 a month. You got work to do. A lot of you guys jack off all day. Seriously, I mean, like you guys just bullshit all the time. Greatness comes from doing mundane shit that average people can't keep doing. It's not all fucking sexy and fired up. It's staying consistent, doing the shit you need to do over and over and over and over. Everybody told me what's fucking possible. Fuck everybody. I called my own shots. I'm not a crowd pleaser. I fucking destroyed it. Go.
All right, let's play another one.
Out here. What are you wearing? What the fuck is that though? That's like jammies. Look at your fucking shirt, man. Does he look like he's a part of y'all's team? You should have wore your Spartan shirt and fucking set the standard for the company. It's called a standard. There's plenty of amateur companies that'll let them come in wearing that fucking shit. And by the way, you may think that I'm a dick. Dude, I promise you, if you don't have Ferraris in your driveway, big lifted ass fucking trucks, a mansion on the fucking beach, you don't have the fucking money in your bank, then stop acting like you fucking do. Once you get rich, you can run around wearing that shit all you want all day long. But until then, we're gonna fucking be a contender. We're gonna show up. We're not gonna be a fucking pretender.
Let me see if there's one more. I think he taught ugly people. Let's look at this.
You're pretty fucking ugly, right? No, I mean, it's just real. So you get in shape. Hey, I'm not that good looking of a guy. I'm a pretty ugly motherfucker. But you know what? I get in good shape and it makes me better looking. Be a person that demands the fucking attention when you walk in. When you start to see yourself differently in the mirror, you fucking want to become better.
Gut reaction. What are your thoughts? How do you feel when you watch it? Well,
it tells me a lot about a man.
okay. I want to hear your reaction because then I'll give you mine after. So you got 3, I don't know, 10-second clips of his. Are you repulsed by him? Are you like, what are you feeling?
Well, I think he's sort of playing on, I don't know if you know who Dan Pena is.
Oh, yeah. Do I know who Dan Pena is? Are you kidding? Yeah. Dan Pena, minus the money, is an older version of me. This is where we're going. Yes. And I want you to finish your thought. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Dan wears 3-piece suits. So, it's honestly such a cope to wear clothing that tight. I mean, I can see the outline of his mushroom tip. It's not appropriate. So you're going to make fun of a kid for wearing a t-shirt that Steve Jobs could have gotten away with. Okay, I understand the point. While your mushroom tip's poking out. Like, grow up.
So years ago, when I left law enforcement, I regressed. I didn't know I was doing it. I started wearing t-shirts, jeans, and I was wearing Converse gym shoes all over the place. And I guess when people leave the military, it's very common for them to grow their hair out long. And what I was told is it's kind of, it's rebellion, right? They're now saying I don't have to sit there and can't do what I was told for the last 4 years, and I can grow my hair as long as I want and all this kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I came across Pena a couple of years ago, and I was like, holy shit. It was 2018, I came across Dan Pena, and I was like, oh my God, is this man hitting everything that I was? Even his entry theme, which is my ringtone, which I think is one of the greatest pieces of music. He has the Imperial March, Darth Vader's theme, and I'm like, that's been one of my favorite pieces of music forever. And I looked at Pena and I went, this is it. I didn't care about his language. I was kind of shocked in the beginning with, who's this guy calling everybody a cunt and this and that stuff, which incidentally was my favorite word because it's an acronym. I'm going to clarify this for the group. It does not stand for see you next Tuesday. It stands for can't understand normal thinking, and it applies to everybody. But when I watched Pena, I'm like, this is a standard. I immediately got rid of all my Converse. I spent $5,000 on suits. I worked from home, and I can't tell you that everything changed the day I dressed appropriately and took myself seriously. And I was 40, in my early 40s at the time. You start to see all these copycats out there try to duplicate the same thing, the language, dropping F-bombs all over the place. When I watched this Andy Elliott's content, I first had the same reaction. Oh, dude, what are you doing? This and that. But the more that I listen to him, it is pathetic that we need this content out there, because everything he's talking about is standards. He has his men come up, and he does is car sales training, like high ticket car sales training. And we associate car sales with like the scummiest guys out there. He has men get up in the front of the room and take their shirts off. And he's not doing it to shame them, but to have them shame themselves. And when he's talking about the Ferraris in the driveway, the lifted trucks, the mansions, this is how American poverty affects men like me. Well, we're supposed to be poor and impoverished like Christ was. And you and I have had this conversation many times. And I don't want to have goals of a Ferrari, this and that. But as I'm listening to this man speak, I'm going, how much have we lost our way as men? That the Ferraris, the lifted trucks, the mansions, we all know that when you buy one, you're going to be happy for about a week, and then that's it. But why are you not in shape? Why are you not goal setting for money? Because money's a symbol. It's energy. You could do a ton of good with money. I cannot believe that as men, we need grown men to tell us or remind us how to be a man. And I know this is a big topic you talk about a lot, especially for like women going into their feminine energy. But do you kind of see the Andy Elliott's or anybody else out there in this genre of yelling at men, reminding them what our responsibilities, our roles are? Do you kind of see this as a good thing that we're trying? Because the military does not doesn't whip people into shape anymore. Sports don't. Law enforcement sure as shit doesn't. But are we at a point now where we need grown men yelling at younger men saying, keep yourself fit, go after money, raise your standard, and then, you're a man? Because I used to think that it wasn't, but now I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe we need this.
Yeah, I think honestly, we are at the point where we need it, as cringe as it is, because I think we talked about, one of the more recent times I was on before I took a break for a couple weeks. We were looking at that video of the dojo master and his young boy students and how he was talking to them and like making it okay to have emotion, but push through them and, kind of making a spectacle of the kids. And we were going back and forth on that. But I think that for the adult generation, the younger kids, like the millennials, I think that there's probably a niche of millennials that don't need that. My husband being a perfect example of that. But at the same time, sort of the younger branch of the millennials, and then you've got Gen Zers going into a situation like this. This is the first time they're being talked to like men, like they're not going to break, because they've been raised by women who pretend to be men and want to compete with men, but not really. And it's fucking confusing. It's really confusing for men. So when you get them in their 20s and stuff like this, or even early 30s, you just explained that you kind of had like a come to Jesus moment, remaking yourself in your early 40s. Like, it's never too late, but I just feel like in today's day and age, thank you, feminism, thank you, evil agenda going on in our world, we have so softened as a society, as a culture, Western culture, that we need to almost go to the other extreme where it's a little cringy, maybe to some of us, because we don't want it to be that way. But some people need it that way because they haven't had anything remotely close to touching it. They've been coddled their whole lives and emasculated. You are one of like 4 people that I've had the conversations with about money, because I confused so much of the money is the root, the love of money is the root of all evil, and then a poverty mindset. And I can't believe that it's like social media has definitely attributed to my softening of, it's wrong to want things, monetary things. You're not a man. You should be stoic and just accept everything. And I know that translates into being broke, the broke mindset. It does increase your laziness, which increases your poor health. Yeah. And your poor health will go into, I gain stress. Oh my God. Stress, disease. I mean, it's another tactic that mind virus, I call it the poverty mind virus or the scarcity mind virus. It's very much linked to fear And that is the frequency that the elites and the agenda of the evil ones, I'll call them, want us to stay in. I would like to hear somebody actually preach or teach logically on the concept of Jesus was dirt ass broke poor.
You got to balance it, because I did. So I'm in network marketing, and I had, and it is a lot of what I don't like is how they leverage Christianity in it. And I don't care for that. But I had a mentor a couple of years ago who, several $1 million earner, this and that. And I'm like, dude, I'm struggling with this concept of being okay with making money. And he connected me with a pastor friend of his, right? So we're on the phone, and I said, listen, I want to have some information with how can we as Christ followers be good with the concept of having money. And he goes, well, Jesus was rich. And I go, okay. Well, he goes, no, he had 12 servants. Everywhere he went, he had a house he stayed in. Everywhere he went, he had food waiting for him. I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. There's a prosperity Bible, which I don't, there's prosperity gospel I don't pay attention to. But I think that so I'm a motorcycle guy, and I love collecting motorcycles. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine who's Christian and is very wealthy. And I said, how the hell do I come to terms with being a man? And I'm like, man, I love riding motorcycles, but God wants me to be poor. And he goes, no, he doesn't. I'm like, okay. He goes, so I said, okay, if I want to go buy, this year's new Harley Davidson, which I'm not a Harley guy, if anybody knows me, and it's 50 grand, what do I do? And he said, well, that first 10%, if you don't have the 10% to cover your tithe, don't buy the motorcycle. And I went, well, that's kind of a good thing. So that kind of sets that for somebody who needs a goal like me, that's kind of a good mindset, because, all right, if I want to buy a $100,000 car, I better have 10 grand first to be able to give to the church. I like that standard. Then he directed me towards Malachi 3:10, which he said is the only verse in the Bible where God says, test me in this way. And it's all about the tithe. Catholics, of which I was one, we're all about Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. There is no Old Testament stuff whatsoever. But going back to what Andy Elliott was saying is with the Ferraris, the lifted trucks, I see them as goals. All right, if I want to go get I had, and if anybody's ever listened to the show, they know about this. I had a 1967 Pontiac GTO, and if I ever want another one, it's probably going to cost me about 50 grand. So will the GTO make me happy? No, it will not. But if in the process of saying, all right, I'm going to put it up on my vision board, I'm going to go, it's going to be the screensaver on my thing, I'm going to manifest it. If in the process, I want to hear your thoughts about that. If in the process of getting it, I create wealth that can go other places, it's a good call that by the time I get to that goal, I will be financially on my way towards the things that matter. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think as men, we need goals, but I like how you laughed a little bit. Talk about the manifest when you giggled at that one, because that's a real big thing we have going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, manifestation is just like meditation. It's actually very scriptural when you understand Jesus' teachings on alchemy, but the manifestation in the way that the New Age populace has perverted it, which is all Satan does. He doesn't create anything new under the sun. He just perverts what God already created. It's absolutely just a distraction. And it keeps you in a scarcity state. It keeps you in a lack state. The whole manifestation practice of putting a Ferrari on your phone, it's on your phone screen because you don't have it in your driveway. It's perpetuating this lack and desire scheme, which doesn't really work the way that people think it does. It compounds the energy of lack and scarcity instead of the momentum that you need to build through aligned actions to accomplish the goal that you're trying to receive. And ultimately, it's not about the goal, it's about who you need to be in order to have the capacity in your nervous system and energetically and your actions and your thinking to be able to hold that blessing, whatever that blessing looks like.
Wait a second. Are you saying it's not bullshit, but it's bullshit?
Yeah, kind of.
Do you ever like Dan Pena's big thing is
Yeah, a little bit. I know I'm a paradox.
I don't disagree with you, because that's my thing, is that there's truth to it. Like Pena has this thing. He says, if you truly are looking, he goes, he used to do with his wife was they used to go to like really expensive like Rolls Royce dealers when they couldn't afford it, sit in the car, smell the leather, feel it, or they would go to open homes, like $1 million mansions they couldn't afford. And when you do that, you do put yourself at a certain state of I don't know what it would be, but that's
it's your environment.
Okay.
You're uploading certain codes into your cells that wasn't there before. You can't, like, if you're in a cardboard box under a bridge and you've never stepped foot into a mansion or a Rolls Royce, there's no way you can see into that future. You have no idea it exists.
How do we sit there and prevent that from being temporary? Because eventually you got to go back to your cardboard box, and then you're going to be like, oh, well,
right.
It's me, and I don't know.
Right. But now you have the sensory uploads that you didn't before. So then it's a choice. It's still a choice. There's no like magical manifestation happening without your awareness participating. God's not going to just throw a Ferrari in your garage while you're sleeping one night and force it on you. You have to actually do the work, which includes being who you need to be in order to receive that.
See, I think that's a good direction here today. You were off. We played this one. I want to play this again. We're talking about these coaches, and it's a shame. I did an interview with Rafa Condi, who runs the Man of War Project, and this started a couple weeks ago when Scott Sieverts and I from the Burn Pit podcast were talking about these grown men who are paying like $25,000 a fucking pop to go to these paramilitary boot camps. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I got lucky, right? I was born in the 70s. I was a wrestler in my sports, and then law enforcement still had a good, a sense of pride in it. And and Scott was military. I was like, we can't understand how these grown men need this. And I interviewed Rafa Condi because I
just got the download. Like, it's honestly like prostituting performance.
Well, and that's why.
So paying for it.
I had to interview Rafa Condi because I like his stuff. His stuff is different. He's also law enforcement, DEA, and his demeanor is completely different. He's not just arbitrarily yelling in the faces of people.
Okay.
So I liked his stuff, and I will endorse him. I think it starts here. I want to play this, which we talked about the other day. I'm going to play this for you and get your reaction. This is Liv Jowen. She's a mom of 7. And this is one of the consequences I use when my toddlers are physically hurting each other. Sending him to his room gives him the space to calm down and to reflect on his actions. Usually after about 5 minutes, he's ready to apologize and be nice to others.
Push people down. Okay. Do you understand me? Okay. Say sorry to him. I want you to go sit on your bed for a little bit. Are you okay? Oh, Roman, come here. Do you know why I sent you in your room? Why? You tell me. How come I sent you into your room? It's because the eyes were shutting and he broke his head. And that one's not nice, was it? So we're gonna be nice now and play nice with your brothers, okay? Do you want to come out and play with them, or do you want to keep playing in your room? Keep playing in my room. Okay, come give me a hug. Good boy. And now I want you to go tell Hudson that you're sorry, okay? Sorry, honey. Okay. Say sorry and give him a hug. Sorry, honey. You can go back and play in your room.
Ugh! All right, I'll let you hear I got to hear what you have to say.
I have a really hard time with critiquing parenting because I'm not a parent yet.
Do you deal with, do you have any interactions whatsoever with the youth of the world?
I used to. I used to be a dance teacher.
Okay. Do you go get coffee anywhere?
Yeah.
Do you go to the store ever?
Of course.
Are there younger people working there?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you impressed with the way the younger generation is navigating life right now?
No, not in
Okay.
general.
You have every right to critique. Continue.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and I mean, if that result is correlated with that type of parenting style, then I think we have a very big problem.
She's doing the exact same thing that Jason, I can't remember his name, did that I talked about last time. She rewarded the crying son with love.
Right.
All I have to do is cry, and I'm gonna get love from females that way.
Right. From females. Where's the dad on behind the video camera?
Don't know. Oh my God, I would be. I asked you for your view, and I keep cutting you off, so I want to hear your views are.
No, it's okay. I don't know if that was a girlfriend hanging out behind the video camera, or if that was the dad behind the video camera, or if the dad was at work, or if the dad is nowhere to be found. But I'm just saying, like, that's when male discipline comes in. Because I don't know, like, I'm not a man, but I can kind of imagine how strong men in my life might have handled that situation, and they probably would have told Huddy to push him back.
What would you, if you had a child and your husband walked in on you disciplining your kid like that, what would the response be?
Like the way she did, or like telling Huddy to push him back?
No, like if she did, if you were that woman, how would your husband react?
He'd probably ask for a divorce. I don't know. It's not me. It's just not me. So I think he would be like, "Who are you? You're not my wife. I need to go find her." Yeah.
I have no hope.
I'm sure he would talk to me about it.
I just don't have any hope for this generation. I was kind of happy. My niece is 16, and I don't ever talk to her about politics, anything at all. She was raised Catholic. She went to the exact same Catholic grammar school that I did and her mother did. And she texted me the other day, I was like on Friday, said that her substitute teacher in school was wearing a mask, and she goes, "I just can't take this person seriously." So I just I ha-ha'd it, didn't say anything. The other day, she sends me a text message saying, like, she's just dumbfounded at how her school has safe spaces, pride flags all over the place. Everybody's asking her pronouns. And she's like, I know I was born in this generation, but she can't stand it. And I'm like, this.
And I honestly think that you should be very proud of her, number one. But number two is I honestly think that there are a lot more of youngsters like her than we have the privilege of witnessing.
The study I read probably 15 years ago was that her generation specifically was going to be more conservative. They're going to be more like the baby boomers because they're going to be so tired of their liberal parent shit that, and my sister's not a liberal.
I believe it.
But they're going to be so tired, they're going to go the other way. It's almost like when you ask somebody for something and then out of obstinance, you just don't do it. It's kind of the same thing when they're being forced nonstop to conform to all this garbage. They're going to go, no, I'm just not doing it. No.
I believe that. I believe that for sure. And another thing with that parenting style, I think it's called the soft parenting style or something like that. And again, this is coming from, for example, your generation was a very hard parenting style. Right?
Yeah, we got beat.
Yeah. So this is like the pendulum swinging from one extreme to another. I mean, we can all pick things apart about our childhoods and make our parents out to be villains in one way or another, whether that's fair or not, right? We're all just doing the best that we can, hopefully. But at the end of the day, nobody is perfect. Nobody's parents are perfect. And that's what we have to deal with in this broken world. This type of soft parenting style, in my opinion, as a not parent yet, okay, about to be an auntie for the first time, is not doing these boys, and I say that on purpose, boys, any favors going into life. If this was a girl confrontation, I would have a slightly different opinion. These are boys. They're going to be young men. I want to know where the father is and why he's okay with this type of parenting style from his wife in his absence. I don't feel like there's much of a masculine presence.
No, I'd want, no. If people can't, they love him or hate him or whatever. Andrew Tate talks about how his dad when he was a kid, like a 5 years old, or he would be walking down the hallway and his dad would just shove him over. And his mom would walk up, what did you do that for? And go, he'll learn. And he goes, after a while, it became a game. Like, my dad would go to shove me because that's life. And he goes, I would just learn to duck and dodge and go, haha, you didn't get me. It is a toughening up aspect of it. And
it's only one aspect of the relationship, right? Like we're neither one of us, okay, disclaimer, Dom and I are not advocating for child abuse, okay? You don't need to beat your child into a bloody pulp, as that's not what we're talking about. Well, it's not what we're talking about. You have to have a relationship.
It could help. It could help. It could. That was one thing we used to see all the time is that parents would call 911 and we'd go to the call. What's going on? Well, my 14-year-old son just told me to go fuck myself. What do you want us to do? Yeah. There's nothing we could do. You let it get this far.
It's not a crime.
Yep. It's you as a bad parent let it get so out of control that it got to this state. Parents, check with your local police department, but for the most part, you can physically discipline your child as long as you don't leave marks. And there's nothing better than classical conditioning. I can't find the study for this, but I'm going to show you this photo. Apparently, plus-size women admit they aren't attracted to overweight men.
They're just now finally admitting this.
Oh, I knew this one would kind of rub you the right way. I just wanted to show you this and let you off. Just let you go.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to see if I can find it somewhere because I did a little video on my old account that got banned for a while.
Yeah.
Remember
your bigger one. Yep.
Fit Patriot?
Yep.
Long time ago, years ago. And I was talking about this. This was probably 2017, 16 maybe. And I was talking about this where we have such a double standard for the plus size male versus female thing. Because the plus size conversation, big is beautiful type campaigns were just kind of starting to emerge around that time. And it was really rubbing me the wrong way back then because I could see the double standard in the fitness industry and the fashion industry, which I was a part of for many years. And I just called it out and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like saying that dad bods are in so that you can justify your 45-inch waist or whatever, and your 300, 600 pound life it's not cognitively honest because you actually don't want to fuck him.
No. Can we talk about why that is? So anytime I get
because he looks soft, because he looks feminine.
No, I want to talk about the reason why women
is masculine.
So anytime that I wind up getting abs, I get less sex than normal. And here's why.
Well, it's not about abs.
Well, no, this
you have biceps.
I get it.
You have pecs.
No, this is what I'm saying though. I get more women who openly admit they do not want to take their clothes off in front of me, the better shape I get in. Because they're embarrassed.
100%.
Oh, it happens all the fucking time. Like whenever I'm like, oh, it's summer, I'm gonna get ripped. It's like, oh, okay, I hear it all the time. I could never take my clothes off in front of you. What the fuck is wrong with you? That happens all.
They're insecure.
Yep.
And if you're in shape, that's a standard. Back to Elliot. Okay, that's a standard. Men set certain standards, women set other certain standards in the interactions with each other. And if a man is beautiful, the woman does not want to feel like the ugly one.
Blows me away. It blows me away.
It's complete hypocrisy.
Yes.
And I've not been as outspoken as I probably should be about this in recent years. But I'll see if I can find you that old ass video of me ranting off my younger self.
The cycle of what it goes is, it seems that, because I watched some other woman bitch the other day about how men will put in 100% effort for a woman until they settle, and then it goes down to like 75%, and then once you remind him as a woman, he goes back up 5%, and it's like no, it's just because there's that constant state now where we're at that women think, and I'm not generalizing, I am generalizing all women. I know it's not all women, but women think that it's the man's job to always fucking, they mistake leadership in the relationship for effort. It's always got to be the man's effort. But I think what happens is women get comfortable, because I used to, whenever I dated a girl who did not go to the gym as much as I did, what they would try to do is guilt me when I said, hey, go to the gym with me. Well, why don't you just go date one of the fitness models you like? I would get that. Or it was, well, I do things my way. And then ultimately it was try to get me to stop going to the gym, which then would be, all right. And they would perform for acceptance. So, hey, I'll have sex with you more if you stay home. And then it would decline more because then all of a sudden they don't have to
frame. Right.
You don't have to improve yourself.
We got you to heal.
We don't have to, we know, we know that a fatter body, you do not feel physically well. You don't psychologically feel well. You don't perform physically well. So now all of a sudden you got all the excuses not to have sex. So I think what it is in a lot of women's minds, and she's dead and my family doesn't listen to this. That was my mother. My mother was 5 feet, 5'1", 90 pounds. I think she was 89 pounds on her wedding day. And then by the time she died, we had to buy an oversized casket for her. Because she was so overweight. And I can guarantee you that she was not physical with my father for probably decades. I know it because she felt so shitty about herself. So that's what women don't see and men put up with. And then all of a sudden you get, why are you looking at her? Why are you cheating? It blows me away that the standard for both, which should start with your physiology because your physiology dictates your psychology, is this way. And
I'm so proud of you. Look at you.
Well, I've known this for a long damn time, but
in biological truth.
Oh my God, the fatter I am, I have no problem admitting this. I used to have a doctor on years ago. She was a doctor for sexual health. And we talked about things like, I brought up the concept of male shrinkage over time. She goes, absolutely. Because you have to think about it. You got arteries all over your body. And so you don't think that your penis has arteries? And I went, okay. She goes, the fatter you get and your arteries slow down the blood flow, you're not going to get as hard and you're not going to get as girthy, as full as before. You're going to shrink. And I'll 100%. I'm 5'7", I'm 235. If you don't think I'm like, what the hell happened to me? You're out of your mind. I'm not the 5'7". There was a big difference at 175 versus 235 than there is now. I can only imagine the hormonal effect it has on women and how I think women have it worse psychologically and physiologically than men do.
Yeah, and they, despite all of the big is beautiful campaign strategy,
no, it's not.
The last, better part of the last decade, I think it's adding fuel to the fire of body dysmorphia for women. And they've tried a couple of times, like they've put the toe in the water a couple of times with saying that like dad bods are sexy. But then all I do when that conversation comes up is I hold up the most recent sexiest man in the world cover photo against the plus size Sports Illustrated cover photo model. And it's not the same conversation. So they try to dip their toe into it to be politically correct and give the men a pass too, to get fat and overweight because they want us all fat, sick, and weak. But the reality is that the men aren't participating in this psyop the way that women are. Women are falling for it all over the place because they're feminists and they think that it's some sort of right of independence to eat themselves into the grave or not take care of themselves.
It emotionally sucks. The more, like yesterday, I had this insane burst of energy yesterday, 7:00 at night. And I realized it's because I worked out earlier during the day. I didn't eat shit all that day. I'm back on the carnivore diet to a degree. I only have carbs before I work out. And I started running on my treadmill more. Granted, it's not much. I could run for 10 minutes in an alternate sprint rest pace. And I have done that consistently because I'm starting at ground zero. My body hurts. It does not move the way it used to. Biologically, I cannot run. It is insane. If you ask me to run to the corner and back, my body forgot how to. It's like, I'm like, what the hell? So
It's like, fuck you. No.
oh my God, it's amazing. So I get on the treadmill the last couple of days. I'm like, run 30 seconds, rest a minute, run 30 seconds. I'm doing that. And within 4 days, I was able to build up to run for a minute, rest for a minute. And then I found too that running barefoot versus in shoes is a big fucking difference. So
oh, yeah, that helps.
changed my diet, started drinking more water, and and a couple different things happened. Stronger wise, I put up a video that I went to the gym the other day, and I'm like, I'm gonna see if I can do 315. I got a lot of shit for not coming all the way down, but I put up 315 for 4 reps. And
yeah, none of them are actually doing 315. So
what? Oh, the guys who are crit. Yeah, I know that. But here's my point: is it's like I saw a glimpse of me in my 20s for about 10 minutes yesterday, and what that did is that gave me hope. So instead of going, oh, I'm old and I'm 49 now, nothing. It's like, oh shit, I can get back to that, because all I did was put together a few pieces of the puzzle: eating right, forcing through that consistency of movement, and sleeping a little bit. I forced myself to stay in bed for an hour longer every day. And I'm like, this is amazing. I purposely like mentally documented it. I'm like, dude, why are you feeling so good right now? This is insane. So now the goal is to see what all worked and put that in a pattern. But I have to wonder if it is different for women. And women are like, oh, woe is me. Because I got the females in my life who are, oh, woe is me. And I'm just whatever. I'm just a fat piece of shit. I'm just going to give up. I can't be like that. And I don't think men are like that in general.
But like you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, your physiology affects your psychology. So psychologically, no, none of us are supposed to let ourselves go like that and resign ourselves at 35 or 40 to just being old. Like that's midlife. Like dad strong is in midlife for men. It's a thing. Like you're in the prime of your life in so many ways.
When you come out of this.
Sorry.
That's okay. And for women, like I mentioned, you said it's different for women, and yes, it is, as you know, I know well. But I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, like, eating yourself into a grave. That's a very polarizing statement, and there's a segment of the population that is eating themselves into a grave. But extrapolating the bigger picture in broader context of what's actually happening there is, why are you eating yourself into a grave? It's not necessarily a conscious choice in your psychology. Your physiology, it has been poisoned for so long, men and women, but women with birth control pills, and we've got big pharma and all of our water supplies. So you're drinking birth control pills as a man. SIDS, like SRIs, like it's crazy what we're all exposed to in just our water supply. But anyway, I digress. So you've got all these layers of things that are compounding why we do what we do and don't do what we should do, aka take the aligned actions to be who we should be in order to receive the results that we are worthy of.
Dude, sitting and moping is so easy. It's so fucking easy. Like literally being, like you could say you're not depressed, and I've said I'm not a manic depressant. I don't get depressed. Now I've sat there and been like, no, there's times you just sit on your ass because a body at rest stays at rest, and I'm like, oh look, 30 minutes went by, I didn't do anything, and you dwell on shit. It is. I've never experienced, probably the last 3 years, and during the pandemic, really did a number on us. I've never experienced this time in my life where it's so difficult to do the simplest of things to improve health and wellness. It's amazing, just by moving and eating right, whatnot. I'm gonna say too, I went the other day. I wanted to go to sleep, so I'm like, all right, it's late at night. I know that the carb insulin crash is really good for me. I ate a shit ton of that bread I made. No crash. Tried it again the next day. No crash.
No crash.
It's amazing when you make your own fucking bread, you don't get that insulin spike and glutamine.
And you're not even doing sourdough yet. You're doing like quick yeast and fresh
flour, yeast, salt. I put in a cube of sugar, so it's a teaspoon, to activate the yeast more. Literally, you eat it, and there's zero like insulin crash. It is incredible, which makes me now go back to thinking it's anybody who says we don't need carbs, I think you're full of shit. I think it's the right carbs. I think that's a fucking lie.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think it's a lie and a half.
For years.
Yeah.
Yep.
What else do we have going on in the world today?
We store glycogen in our cells for a reason. There's a reason why. It is the most efficient source of energy.
Okay. I like my carbs. I fucking love my carbs, dude. The bread is eating bread and putting real butter on it. And, it's so good.
It's real food. It's real food, either from the ground or from something that ate something from the ground. It's just why there's been such that's why there's been such an attack on poisoning our carb sources, and then in the fitness matrix demonizing carbs in general. Now they even demonize fruit.
I can't. It's so overwhelming. I've talked with you about this. I've talked about Emily Reynolds. Everything in the fitness industry or in the medical industry is meant to confuse people like crazy. Now, the People magazine, who clearly the average-minded reader will come across, says that intermittent fasting increases your cause for cancer or death, right? So it blows me away that this is why I never pay attention to anything that fitness people talk about, because the standards always change, right? We've talked about this, like cold plunging. When I was in my 20s, it was you should always drink freezing cold ice water because your body's going to burn more calories heating it up. Then it was, no, don't drink freezing cold water because it's going to shock your organs and put you in a state of septic shock, whatever. So there's always these states. We talked about Dr. Paul, what the hell is his name?
Saladino.
Right.
It's all fear. It's a different brand of fear-based, scarcity-based mind virus. It keeps everyone that's hooked on this matrix looking for an external source of validation to do what they need to do, instead of looking at and understanding and learning and knowing their own bodies the way that God created them as biological truth for the foundation and move accordingly. Yeah. It's really simple. People overcomplicate it because it's a business, and you make more business when people are hooked. Just like with the medical industry and big pharma, if they actually cure diseases, they lose business. So it's not a great business model to actually cure anything. Same thing in the fitness matrix. If they actually kept you, gave you something sustainable, gave you something simple, you wouldn't need them. It's a racket.
I have to imagine that you're pretty frustrated with your industry nonstop as well too.
It's been my industry for 15 years, and I've been pounding the pavement on the other side of the aisle saying, leave them. Leave the fuck boys in the fitness industry, girls. Leave them alone. Come over here to the biologically truthful side of who you are as a woman. But men need it too in their own way.
I saved this one for you weeks ago and I didn't play it yet.
Boy.
Yeah, I totally forgot about this one. This is from Jasmine Alicia Carter. She says, I was that kind of woman that wasn't able to make plants survive for more than 2-3 weeks. They would just die. And I remember feeling so mortified each time. I felt like I was cursed with the touch of death as much as I felt cursed to have a period. This went on for many years until I came to painting with my period and womb healing work. As much as I realized I had no idea how to care for plants or anyone, as much as I had no idea how to care for myself. At the beginning of my journey, when I first started giving my moon blood to my plants, not only did they start thriving like I've never seen before, but the dedication to my relationship with my period, my fertility, and my womb started dramatically to shift again and gaining meaning and significance. This is her video. POV. You water your plants with your period blood and feel the profound connection with nature, embodying the life-giving essence of Mother Nature herself. Yeah. Period blood contains 1,061 different types of proteins. It contains sodium, calcium, phosphate, iron, chloride. It contains stem cells for cellular regeneration. It contains 3 electrolyte nutrients that are important to both human and plant metabolism: nitrogen, phosphorus, blah, blah. I'll let you just respond.
Well, I mean, she's not wrong. There is all of that stuff in period blood. There's a reason why scripture says life and death is in the blood. There's a whole lot of belief systems around blood in general, but I think it says a lot less about how magical her period blood is to her now seemingly giftedness with plants, and a lot more about the poor quality of her soil and our soil in general.
Oh gosh,
because the nutrients that she's talking about in period blood are nutrients that are supposed to be abundant in our soils, and there's not. We've had, the big agriculture business has completely stripped our soil.
Isn't it? We saw biblically the Bible. Human body's designed to live to be about 120 years old, but we're destroying our soil huge. We can't live that way. Yeah.
Yep. We need regenerative farming, regenerative ranching practices put on the forefront of what's going on with climate activism instead of what is actually being pushed down our throats, like EV vehicles and electric vehicles and all that crap. But anyway, so I am definitely a proponent of period blood is a health marker. It is not a hygiene product that people should be afraid of or grossed out by. However, I personally am not into the glorification or worship of period blood by using it to paint and water plants with and that sort of thing. In a lot of ways, people would refer to me as witchy and woo-woo. That is not one of them. I guess I'll just leave it at that.
Do you know anything biblically about, like, are we the people who drink blood and think that when you kill an animal, like a deer, and you drink its blood to honor it, isn't there biblical shit about purposely not drinking blood? I think.
Yes, okay. There is, and I won't have the references for you, but I do know that it's in the Old Testament. I believe in Leviticus is where you can find it in the 66 book canon of the Bible. And I believe Enoch talks about it as well, but I think it is Leviticus when God is talking to his people about.
Wow, you're right. Leviticus 7. Moreover,
regulations.
Yeah. Moreover, ye shall eat no manner of blood, whether it be by fowl or beast, or any of your in any of your dwellings. Whosoever soul that eateth any manner of blood, even if the soul shall be cut off from the people.
And that was given to God's people because you have to look at it in context of the historical situation at the time, that they were dealing with pagan religions who were worshiping false gods, God's enemies, by having ritual sacrifice of humans as well as animals, and drinking the blood as a way of consuming adrenochrome.
Have you ever seen
to prolong their lives unnaturally beyond God's design and to worship the enemy?
Jim Henson was one of my favorite human beings on the planet. He died when I was in high school. Did you ever see The Dark Crystal, the original?
No.
Okay.
Now I have a homework assignment.
I'm going to tell all you guys out there, for those who have seen The Dark Crystal, and then you go watch the Netflix Dark Crystal series, which they did a couple years ago. Okay. You see shit all over the place. So in The Dark Crystal, there's these Skeksis and mystics, and they're divided, right? So they were one, then they were divided. God and the fallen angels, all that kind of crap. And the Skeksis keep themselves centuries young by draining the essence of the Gelfling right? They hook them up to this machine. The crystal has these beams that comes into their eyes and drains their essence, and they drink them. Well, they ran out of Gelfling, and so they were going to the Podlings. And in one of the scenes, one of the Emperor Skeksis, who is this just lizard, decrepit creature, drinks a Podling essence, and he turns young, and it only lasts for about 30 seconds. And he goes, that's not effective with them. I've always said this. It's right in front of your face. You have Christ's sacrifice, which was one and done. And then all this blood sacrifice, non-stop blood sacrifice to Satan. It's because Satan can't do and duplicate what Christ did, and its lasting effects don't last. So it's like right there. It's like you have to do it over and over and over to Satan because he can't. The lasting effects are not sustainable. So it's all over. Oh, it's all over in the shit and whatnot. I never thought about the adrenochrome from blood drinking back then. No, I never thought about that.
That's my own research and perspective. Obviously, I didn't live back then. So
would you have wanted to?
I mean, in some ways, I would have loved to walk with Christ and Mary Magdalene and, but in other ways, I think we are living in the most exciting time of Earth's lifetime.
I know, it's going to be great. We can't wait for the asteroid to hit. That's it. They say Yellowstone is like, it's on a 600,000 year eruption cycle, and we're like 640,000 years overdue. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. If Yellowstone blows, I know out here in Chicago, it around day 4, they said our cars will not be able to start because like all the ash will be worked through the motor block and just absorbed in it. So I can't wait for that.
Oh boy.
I'm fine with it, dude. Like if Putin ever hits that button, O'Hare Airport is going to be a target, and I'm 20 minutes from O'Hare. So that means it's going to be a nanosecond of like not even SPF 4 million is going to prevent me from that sunburn. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to be fine. I don't care.
I'm going to be fine. I'm going to wake up and be with the Lord, and it just is what it is.
I'm going to.
You see NATO just released like this big old thing about make sure you have water and flashlights for, to survive 36 hours of whatever's coming, because I'm not saying it's tomorrow, but something's coming and y'all need to be prepared.
Yeah, more doom scrolling and more fear. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so dumb. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I know that this is going to be like, it's going to be the shittiest election time ever. I don't think they're going to allow either one of the candidates to run at all. I think it's a shit show. And I'm so I'm observing, but I'm so detached in a different way than I've ever been before from the outcome. I honestly don't think I will be participating in voting in this election. Thank you. I said the same thing. I don't think there's a point. Go ahead.
I'm not comfortable anymore with putting on paper, having a paper trail with this government that I consent to any of their bullshit and that they have any right, spoken or unspoken, to make decisions on my behalf. And I am a citizen of God's kingdom. That's it.
How do you, and we only got a couple minutes left. Here's my daily question. When and no one knows the time, the hour, all that stuff. Do you find yourself enjoying life less? Meaning, this is my thing, right? So I can come up with a million different excuses. I don't need to go to the gym. I could be fat. What does it matter? I don't need to buy a new motorcycle. I don't need to do this because I take no pleasure in life because why would I take pleasure in this life when I got something better else waiting for me? And then the other side of that coin is, well, now you're disrespecting God by him putting you on this earth and your potential, and you're not meeting it. And so you had better keep striving, even if it's to the day where the world explodes, all this shit. Do you find yourself like putting less importance on earth and like just not enjoying it because of the destination that awaits you?
Yes and no. I have definitely shifted I've definitely shifted from like the version of me 10 years ago with my priorities and what's important to me. So things that used to be really enjoyable to me are repulsive to me now. Like it's just a completely different phase of life. And it's not in alignment with who I am in Christ and who I am, I believe, called to be in this world. So my mission from him is different. You know, it took me a while to figure that out. So the things that I used to enjoy, I no longer enjoy. I do still find plenty of enjoyment. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed my husband a couple times last night. So there's a lot of things that I thoroughly enjoy in this life that God has gifted me with, and blessings that I praise him for.
I'm in a really weird season because it's like I almost have to be like, what's the point? And I think it's probably because motivation and drive came so easy to me for decades that now I'm like I have a 97 Honda Valkyrie, which is like my dream bike, and I bought it. And springtime's coming around the corner, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be time to ride it. I'm like, okay, so you're gonna ride this and get pleasure from this? And it's like, what does it fucking matter? And then I start playing over what heaven is, right? Well, wait a second. If God is everything we need and we're going to be completely satisfied with him, there's probably no food in heaven, because what's the point? There's no motorcycles in heaven. What's the point? There's literally there's probably nothing in heaven. It is. I get mind fucked.
I'll challenge you. Let me challenge you.
I'm listening.
Where is heaven to you?
I don't know how to answer that. Absent the body, present the Lord. So I don't know.
Christ is going to return and set up his kingdom here
for 1,000 years.
For 1,000 years.
Right. Okay.
So we will be enjoying his version the way that this creation should be with him. And I don't think it is sinful to enjoy what we can access here in the meantime.
Isn't there supposed to be like 3 tiers of heaven too after that?
Oh, that I'm not sure about. I'll have to look into that.
We need to get it for next Friday.
Yeah.
All right, this was Friday. It's good to have you back. I'm glad you're back. Where can everybody find you and follow you?
Check me out, Flex Your Femin on Instagram. You can see my posts. You can DM me. You can click the link in my bio, and it'll take you to everything that you could possibly want to know.
Yeah, you're doing some stuff too. We got to retouch on what you were doing from a couple weeks ago.
Sure.
Work with people. Guys, that's Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Have a great weekend. There are 2 episodes of The Conversation from the Rants of Izzo show available up on Spreely.com in the video section. You can see my conversation with Valerie Sayer and with Josh Denny. Powerful conversations. They're different than the show. Hope you enjoy them on that. Have a great damn day. Go do something for somebody. Help them. Be nice. And if you can't help them, just don't hurt them. See you guys on Monday. Have a great